So we live in two different economies right now. We don't really even have a middle class. We basically exported our middle class to China. Like, our manufacturing base used to be our middle class, but we basically exported that elsewhere. So that doesn't really exist anymore. So we really just exist in an economy for the ultra rich, where they keep getting richer because they own assets. And we have a lower class that keeps getting poorer because the dollar keeps getting devalued, debased. And Bitcoin is the only ticket out that's sold to everyone. It's the only ticket out that everyone has access to, right? The reason the ultra rich are continuing to stay so and their wealth is continuing to expand is because they own assets. And, most of those assets are like real estate, really successful companies that produce revenue, and they own a large percentage of that. So the reason the people at the bottom are struggling is because they don't have access to assets. And you could argue the stock market, but the stock market hasn't even outperformed gold, right? If you price the S&P 500 in gold, then it hasn't really gone up. And we're worse financial off now than we were at the time of the financial crisis. But the reason things don't look so bad on paper is because the dollar keeps getting devalued. So they can point to the stock market and say, look, the S&P 500's at all-time highs. Well, what does that really mean if the dollar is at an all-time low? Like, you don't really feel that the S&P 500's at an all-time high. The economy isn't doing well for the lower class, so it doesn't feel like it. And that's because the dollar's being debased. But Bitcoin is the only way out that everyone has access to. Real estate is doing pretty well, going up a lot in value, but no, you can't just, put 10% of your paycheck every week into real estate. It's a large commitment, and even then there's no promises, right? You have property taxes, you have maintenance, so many issues with owning a home. The home is literally fighting against nature, fighting against time, and it's decomposing over time. Bitcoin is the one asset that you can put any amount of dollars into, and it's not decomposing. It's doing the opposite. It's crystallizing your sweat equity into time forever, into an asset that can't be debased, an asset that will grow in purchasing power over time because no one can change the rules. And it's an asset that is a completely new system, right? It's not, right? Economists and people are having such a hard time, understanding Bitcoin because they're trying to understand it from the lens of our current system, when Bitcoin is a completely new monetary system and it's the way out. So if you're watching this, I would just urge you or, your loved ones to allocate some amount, because like I said, you can put $5 a week into Bitcoin. Obviously, I still think that's massively underexposing yourself, and I still think it's a mistake if you do a tiny amount like that. I don't know anyone that owns Bitcoin and doesn't want as much as possible, or I don't know anyone that understands Bitcoin where it's just 1% of their portfolio. Also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jack Mahler's podcast. I got a lot of this information from listening to his show, and I just thought it was great, so I wanted to share some of the insights I gained from that. So go check out his latest episode. There's a lot of great information there, and I think he's one of the great advocates for Bitcoin of our generation. So yeah, that's about it for me. And as always, together, let's work, save, and build a better future with Bitcoin. See you in the next video.